Hello, my name's Nick Green. I'm from Newtone Agri. My job is to advise farmers on various things relating to regenerative agriculture and environmental schemes, so on and so forth. I just want to run through you today um, where I see a brief introduction as some of the thought processes into where farmers should be looking at going into regenerative agriculture methods. There is a running Q&A thing, so if you've got any comments that you want to add, please do that as we go along. One of the biggest challenges that we seem to find when people are deciding whether upon to enter into a more regenerative agriculture type system is whether or not they go wholeheartedly into it in one giant leap, or whether they make small steps into it and gradually move their farm into that type of system. I've worked on farms that have adopted both approaches, and both can be equally successful. What it comes down to is tailoring the approach for your own system. And that is only something that you will know, because only you will know your system as well as you do. So there are various approaches. I think it's widely known the overall benefits of regenerative agriculture, particularly for the environment and for food security and healthier food. What I think you need to convince yourself is that it's the right thing for you on your farm. And to be perfectly honest, I think with the way that farming is going, it's something that you should certainly be considering now for the coming years. So whether or not you take small steps or giant leaps, don't expect instant results from the second that you step into regenerative agriculture. It is very much a marathon, not a sprint. It's a lot of this is all about getting your mindset away from having instant results from something that comes out of a bag or a chemical can and seeing that effect almost immediately. A lot of the changes that you will make in becoming more sustainable in your approach will mean that the changes that you make will take longer to show, and it will also depend on what sort of baseline that you're starting from. So if your soils are more played out than, say, another from another area, that will take longer to get into a more healthy state. So patience is probably the most important thing that you can have in your armory. You need to be aware that you are essentially playing with nature. It's not always going to go your way. Be patient, stick with it. It will start to work out for you as you go along. Regenerative methods, unless you've got yourself set up, and I don't just mean having soils in a half workable state. What I'm getting at is that you need to have the right mindset. If you're not in the right mindset, it will become a self-fulfilling prophecy that it won't work, and you will not necessarily be a champion of it, which if you've got the right mindset and you're going into it with the full intention of it working as well as it can do, it will do. So overcoming the barriers. Obviously the physical barriers are getting your soils into shape, working with machinery and the weather and everything else. Mental state, as I alluded to on the previous slide, having the right mindset, absolutely key to making this work. and also changing the mindset of those around you. Whether it's getting your staff on board, getting your neighbours, to understand what you're on about and why you're doing what you're doing. It's a big challenge, and thinking about farming in an entirely different way to perhaps you may have done in the past. It's not the same. Things are changing, and our thought processes need to change with that. Legislative changes. We are seeing, particularly in the UK, that we will be losing subsidies in the coming years. And in order to obtain any form of subsidy, we will be rewarded for public goods. Now, part of that we know will be things to do with improving the environment. And I think if we're shown to be farming in a more environmentally friendly way, which is also, regenerating soil health and all the rest of it, that is going to form, a value within your farm business. The other opportunity we have with this change is that we can apply, these rules are not set in stone yet, and the government are fairly open to ideas. This is our opportunity to put solutions as to what we think will be practical and workable measures for growers going forward, and that's what we need to be doing. Education, not necessarily just educating children from a young age, but we need to be educating the public as to why we're doing what we're doing, and why it's of a benefit to them, and having a wider influence outside of the agricultural sphere. That is key. So the agricultural industry is changing, whether we want it to or not. Things are changing. The way in which food is being consumed is changing. We're seeing shifts and draws from supermarkets to try and promote grass-fed meat, as an example. So looking at herbal lays or more diverse grass mixtures, forage-based proteins, and substituting concentrate feeds, as an example, lower stocking densities, all of that type of thing. We're part of the solution in terms of climate change, and becoming, using our soils not necessarily to trap carbon for the greater good of the environment, but it can also benefit your farming system. We've got an awful lot left to learn, but we have got the technology and the information available to us now, that we can share information easily, we can help each other learn, and we can measure what we're doing better, which is another invaluable tool. So from my point of view, I think this is a very exciting and essential journey. As with all journeys at the moment, we can only make the essential ones. That's my very brief sort of introduction into perhaps getting your mind focusing on the right sort of points. If you have any questions, as I said, please refer those to the Q&A session, and I'll answer those as I can. And thank you for listening. That's all from me.